They will not leave disappointed. This guy is unique, special, and we are privileged to be here today.
Last season, the Atlanta Hawks were simply mid. They finished with a record of 40-42. They were 18th in the league in offensive efficiency and 19th in the league in defensive efficiency. It's been 4 years since they shocked the league and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and 10 years since their last season with 50 or more wins. It was time for the Atlanta Hawks to make a move in a direction, whether it be adding to the roster or blowing it up. Blowing it up felt unrealistic, largely because the Hawks had some solid talent on the roster. Trae Young was an effective point guard, perhaps underrated due to the lack of recent team success. The next step of Jalen Johnson's breakout was delayed due to an injury, while Dyson Daniels, acquired in the Dejounte Murray trade, turned his arrival into an all-defensive first-team appearance and Most Improved Player of the Year award. It doesn't stop there for the Hawks. The next wave of players on the roster showed on the back half of the season. Onyeka Okongwu averaged 15, 10, and 3 assists and shot 38% from the outside after the All-Star break, and looks to be a key piece in Atlanta's rotation now that Clint Capella is off to Houston. Number 1 overall pick Zachariah Risache shot 40% from the outside in the second half of the season and looks to be a quality long-term piece on the perimeter. The main point in all this, the Atlanta Hawks have been a bit of a mainstay in the play-in in the last 4 years, but the talent wasn't terrible to start with. With new general manager Ansi Salah in the fold, the goal for the 2025 offseason for the Atlanta Hawks was to find difference makers who can help them on both sides of the ball. I think Salah aced his first offseason as the leader of the franchise.
Here comes Josh Green, one man to beat, but it's a 7-footer who blocks it again! Past the first round in his NBA career, and after missing 38 days, what a return!
The first order of business was a 3-team deal that saw the Hawks acquire Kristaps Porzingis from the Boston Celtics. Porzingis is an effective offensive threat, averaging 19.5 points and 41% from the outside, who doubles as an effective rim protector and shot deterrent in the paint. The second move was a bit of a surprise, acquiring Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a 4-year, $52 million contract from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Walker was a key reserve in Minnesota's recent success and cashed in after 2 great seasons. Lastly, Luke Kennard signed a 1-year deal worth $11 million to serve as a floor-spacing reserve. Kennard feels more of an 82-game upgrade, as his offensive value and 40% three-point shooting should help in the regular season, but his lack of defensive tools could limit his playoff role. Porzingis and Alexander Walker were 2 of the best two-way players on the market, and the Hawks pounced. Now, Atlanta has an effective 3-man big man group between Johnson, Porzingis, and Okongwu. Meanwhile, Alexander Walker gives Atlanta another versatile wing who can play either spot, guard, or forward, and space the floor while putting the ball on the deck a little bit. Good floor spacer, good dribbler, good ball handler, Alexander Walker upgrades a group that includes Dyson Daniels, Zachariah Risache, Luke Kennard. And for all of their recent moves, the most praise the Hawks received during the offseason was a deal for the future. On draft day, the Hawks moved from the 13th pick in the draft to New Orleans for the 23rd pick and a 2026 first-round pick, that pick being the better between New Orleans and Milwaukee. The Hawks took Georgia Asia Newell, a bouncy big man with a bit of a shooting touch, the 23rd pick, but the prize ultimately will be that 2026 first-round pick, which gives Atlanta a chance to add another long-term piece to its roster. Considering that the Hawks gave up several draft picks just 2 years prior to acquire Dejounte Murray, this is a chance for the Hawks to add another young player in a spot needed on the roster, something the Hawks struggled with over the last few years. With 3 torn Achilles in the last 6 months between Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton, several teams in the Eastern Conference entered the 2025 offseason with a chance to not only move into the top 6 of the conference, but make noise in the 2025-26 season. The Orlando Magic made the first notable move, acquiring Desmond Bane to their young trio of Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs. The Knicks let go of head coach Tom Thibodeau and hired Mike Brown in hopes of a new result on the roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball. While the Milwaukee Bucks released the injured Lillard, signed Miles Turner, and brought back a slew of guards in hopes of both battling in the Eastern Conference as well as keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo for the long term. But amongst all the moves made so far this season, I'm most intrigued by the Atlanta Hawks and their improvement on both sides of the ball. Porzingis gives them that effective rim protector who can play center as well as an outside spacer and ultimately a post scorer at the 4. He gives you another third scorer to go with Jalen Johnson and Trae Young, which is valuable. You add Alexander Walker and his defensive abilities and a little bit of playmaking alongside a guy like Reese Shea, Dyson Daniels, and you have an effective trio of guards and wings. And then Luke Kennard should be able to assist them in the regular season, covering up some of the margins in the event that Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson don't step forward as shooters. Adding those three players to Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Onyeka Okongwu, and Zachariah Risache gives Atlanta not only the chance to be a contender in the conference this year, but an outside shot to come out of the Eastern Conference. Will anyone take the step forward and make other moves? I know the Cavaliers and the Knicks are waiting to see on what LeBron James does. The Orlando Magic have made their step forward. Is there anything else in the Eastern Conference that can be done to change the fortunes of the Hawks? I say no, which makes me believe that the Hawks will be, at the end of the day, one of the four best teams in the Eastern Conference. But time will tell.